A J-Mix exclusive.
Hello all, it's J-Mix here with TupacNation.net, and this is part 2 of our interview with Mr. Tony Green. In our previous interview, we were talking about coming to death row and the situation involving the 1995 Source Awards. In this second part, we're going to talk about Dr. Dre being unhappy at Death Row Records, the Doggy Dogg World video shoot, and George Clinton on death row. Tony, when did you first realize that Dr. Dre was unhappy at Death Row Records?
Yeah, after a while, it seemed like he was pretty unhappy, especially when he couldn't, when people started interfering with the studio, when we started going to Can-Am, you could tell Dre didn't like what was going on there, so he stopped us from going there. We just started recording at his house instead.
What was the atmosphere at Can-Am that Dre didn't like or that everybody didn't like when going?
Yeah, it just seemed like nobody liked it except for the ones that was, able to go in and out without problems. But Dre didn't like his guys being hassled, like we come in and have to be patted down. They looking for pistols, but then they pat you down and you see you got some money, and next thing a guy asks you, can he have some money, you know what I mean? So just that kind of stuff, Dre just didn't like it. All of a sudden there was security guards and, a lot of times it'd be shooting security guards and then it started being police, real police. So, he just stopped liking it and we stopped going to Can-Am.
You had played an influential role on Doggy Style. Can you tell us a little bit about It's a Doggy Dogg World and the video shoot?
Well, when I got with Death Row, and I was keeping the fact that I had been with the Dramatics a secret because I didn't want to seem too old, But every day Snoop would pull up at the studio playing some Dramatics. He'd get out the car and say, T. Green, you don't know nothing about this, man. Yeah, I let him do that all the time until he pulled up playing one of my songs that I wrote for the Dramatics. And I said, hold on, Snoop, where's that album cover at? He pulled the CD cover out, and I showed him, I told him, I said, what song was it? He said, like, number 9. I said, read that. And he said, welcome back home. And then I said, now read underneath. And it said, Ron Banks, Raymond Johnson, Tony Green. He said, this you, Tony Green? I said, yeah. I said, I used to be with the Dramatics for 20 years. He was like, man, you can call L.J. Reynolds right now? And I said, I can call L.J. Reynolds right now. And I called L.J. He's like the lead singer for the Dramatics. And he talked to L.J. and was like, hey, man, I got to have y'all on my album, man. I'm going to get with Dr. Dre and T. Green and get y'all on my album. So, just like I brought in George Clinton, too. I'm the one that introduced Dre to George Clinton. So, I did quite a bit of little stuff over there, man.
You had said previously that you weren't really happy with the members of the Dramatics. Why was that?
Well, because they was hanging out a little too much the night before. This was big to me. And they were still doing the old same things that I quit for. I quit the Dramatics because at one period of time, all we were doing was running up and down the highway getting high. Running to the gigs in a van, doing the shows in New York, and, it's kind of slummed out. So, I was a little upset because they still came in hanging out. And when they came to the studio the next day, I realized that nobody had been to sleep. They had been hanging out. And, they just wasn't the Dramatics that I wanted them to be. I spent 20 years with them, so I know how powerful they were. And for Dre to have to tell them that, hey, get up on the mic a little bit, sing a little louder. They didn't need to know none of that kind of stuff, man. They've been 40 albums later, you know what I mean? So I just was a little pissed that they didn't take it as serious until after the fact. Now, after the fact, and they saw what it was, then they was really serious. But just me telling them to come on in, I think at first they were just looking like, well, let's see what Tony got going now, They didn't take it as serious as I did. I didn't even have to mention them. So I was kind of pissed about that.
Because you were coming from a different genre of music, were you shocked at the success of the records that you guys were putting out at Death Row?
No, because the sounds was great. I mean, the melodies and and the hooks and everything that makes a great R&B record. They were doing all of the stuff that makes great R&B records. Snoop's album was more R&B than Dre's album, and that's because of my R&B influence, I know. So, no, I wasn't shocked. I was just shocked that so much money could be made in the rap game. I had been with the Dramatics 20 years. I think I've seen more money in a year than that whole time. So that made a difference.
You spoke earlier about bringing George Clinton to Death Row. Is it also true that they were crediting him with some of the singing that you did on the Doggy Style album?
Yeah, I'm singing on this song. Well, it didn't make the album. It was one of the outtake songs called It's Doggy Style, Doggy Style. And I'm singing like George on there. And when the record, it was just a demo. I know, but next thing I found out, it came out later. And it's me talking and everything in the beginning, and I'm playing bass on the song and singing it, and it says Dog Pound featuring George Clinton, man. And I'm like, man, that ain't even George. I mean, even to this day, he's probably getting a check that I should be getting.
Are you mad at him for that?
No, I'm mad at them for that. I'm mad at the business for that. George, it wasn't his fault. He didn't say he sung on it. You know what I mean? He didn't say that. They said it. I mean, whoever put the fucking record out said featuring George Clinton. And that's what I get for sounding like him, I guess. But it really don't sound like him. If you think about how he sounded on Snoop's intro and that You Can't See Me, this other thing don't even sound like him. I'm like, that smooth macadamia. I mean, I'm talking in my regular voice, but I'm singing like him, and they gave him the credit. Like he needed more credit. Right.
You brought up You Can't See Me. You played bass on that, right?
Yeah, I'm on bass on that too. But like I said, that was one of the songs. We cut like about probably 40 or 50 songs for Snoop's album. And me and Dre narrowed it down to 15 or 16, however many songs it was. So You Can't See Me was just some of them songs laying over. Just like California Love. Was one of them that was done. And, a lot of songs were done that was really nice, that we did for Snoop. But, I mean, you can't have 70 songs on an album,
So California Love is a leftover song?
Yeah, it was a leftover song, too, yeah.
Once again, this is J Mix here. I want to thank you to all my YouTube subs and viewers. Be sure to check out TupacNation.net, home of Tupac content, and support Tony Green. Tony Green hasn't stopped hustling. He's still playing venues all across the United States. You can check out Tony Green by linking up with him at Facebook under Edward Tony Green. Show some love to the real music, and stay tuned, because part 3 is up now. One love, everybody.
A J Mix exclusive.
What up, shut up?